Welcome to the Fire Time Podcast, where it's never hot enough, slow is fast, and the way to win is to make it so stupidly easy to buy from you that there's no excuse not to. I'm your host, Tim Reed. And once again, I'm so excited to be here today. Welcome to the Fire Time Podcast. Well, hey, we are continuing to move ahead with our series of rapid reaction episodes where we listen together to an audio article from the Fire Time magazine. And then as soon as it's over, I hit record and give you my rapid reaction to it. Now, this is part of the rhythm of our podcast. And right now, as we're in between seasons, we're going to be continuing with these episodes for the rest of the summer before we jump into our upcoming season, which starts the Tuesday after Labor Day. Now, the audio article that we're going to listen to today came out in the December 2025 edition of the Fire Time magazine, and it's called The Revenue Triangle by Casey Harvey. Now, as I plan these episodes out, I look through all kinds of past articles in the Fire Time magazine to try to find ones that I want to pull back out for the Rapid Reaction series. And this is an article that I have not listened to or read since it first came out, but I want to jump back into it because there's something in here that is really, really powerful. Casey's got a lot of insight, and I remember that even when it came out, the title of this article just grabbed my attention, and I remember it being really good. So we're going to jump in and listen to it together, and then I'll give you my rapid reaction to it. Hope you get a ton of value out of this, and we'll talk on the other side of the article.
The Revenue Triangle by Casey Harvey. Back to basics. In keeping with the trends of the last several years, this year has been anything but normal. We've been hit with new tariffs, stubborn inflation, and unpredictable geopolitics. And unfortunately, I could go on. So when I was asked to contribute to this month's issue of the Fire Time magazine, I wanted to focus on something that we can control. And that means going back to basics. I'm a sales guy at heart, so for me, that means going back to sales. There are as many ways to wring more profit out of a retail business as there are stars in the sky. But for now, let's focus on the revenue side. I see 3 basic ways to increase your sales, and some tweaks to one or all 3 could have major positive impacts on your business. Let's take a deep dive into each. 1. Get more potential customers. Leads. Ultimately, if you have a retail showroom, this means bringing more people into the store. This is what consultants call the top of the sales funnel. The more leads you have, all other things being equal, the more you're going to sell. This is where a lot of people start, and also where you can spend a lot of money to show very meager results if you're not intentional. Getting more people into your store is pretty darn expensive. It can mean advertising, marketing, and employee resources. Filling the top of the funnel is the most expensive of the 3 areas that we're going to discuss, and it requires drilling down, consistent measurement, and clarity of purpose. With all that in mind, here are some key questions to consider when you're trying to make this happen. Do you measure how many potential customers or leads come into your store now? Can you track this historically over a big enough sample set so that you can set a baseline for improvement in the future? Do you know why people are coming in? To be clear, this is not the same as the reason for their project. Do you know why they're coming to you instead of, or in addition to, someone else providing similar services? While expensive, investing in lead generation can create a sales foundation, because without traffic, even perfect closing rates and high average tickets can't deliver the growth you need. 2. Increase your closing rate. This avenue doesn't cost nearly as much as the top of the funnel. However, like the first strategy, you do need to measure where you're at and set goals for where you want to go. With that foundation laid, here are some essential questions to ask when considering this strategy. Do you measure your current closing rate by salesperson and by category? Are the metrics consistent? For example, do you include cash and carry parts as a lead and sale? Do you include e-commerce sales? Is it reasonable to compare closing rates across different salespeople, or are their roles different? Who's doing the measuring? Are salespeople self-reporting? The goal here is to set the baseline and then work towards improvement. Maybe it makes sense in your business to have a public sales leaderboard where you measure total dollars and closing percentages. Maybe that doesn't work in your business, but measuring individual performance and working toward improvement works for every business. No matter how you approach it, improving your closing rate maximizes the value of every lead you've already paid to attract. It's often the most cost-effective way to boost revenue quickly. 3. Increase your average ticket. Here we're talking about upselling, cross-selling, and add-ons. This area requires training and some smart merchandising, but it can really make a big impact. Again, measuring where you're at and where you want to go is critical. With these principles established, here's some crucial questions to explore if you want your team to increase your average ticket. Do you know what your average sale is by salesperson and by category? Can you and will you set and measure improvement goals? Do you show and sell best, better, good? Do you have an if this, offer that script? Do you offer, quote, fries with that in the way of accessories, tools, service plans, and other items? Do you showcase the add-on or cross-sell products in your displays and vignettes? What does your discovery process look like? Is this process designed to facilitate cross-selling opportunities? For example, do you ask about home offices, finished basements, new additions, or the backyard? Simply put, increasing your average ticket transforms every customer interaction into a bigger opportunity. When done right, it also enhances customer satisfaction by solving more of their problems. Get to work. Every business is different, but all businesses can improve by measuring what is happening now, setting realistic improvement goals, implementing improvement steps, and then measuring their progress. The revenue triangle works because each point reinforces the other. More leads give you more opportunities to practice your closing skills. Better closing rates make lead generation more profitable, and higher average tickets make every lead and every closed sale more valuable. The winning formula for your business is probably some combination of all three strategies, and there's no better time than now to get to work.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that audio article by Casey Harvey. Man, short and sweet, but my goodness, there is so much there to take away. You know, like I said up front, it'd been a while since I had listened to it. I mean, probably since it came out. So, I mean, a number of months, but I mean, there's just so much here to take away. I love that he started out with going back to the basics. I think this is so true when it comes to sales, is that like sales progress happens at the level of basics. It is the blocking and the tackling that makes a difference. I remember that I worked for a guy, and it drove me crazy at the time, but I've just come to believe in this. But he's like, Tim, like, I don't want you to hit home runs. I just want you to hit singles and doubles with consistency. And I think that that is so true when it comes to growing revenue and growing sales. Is like, I'm not against a home run, but man, the slugging percentage on a home run is so much lower than singles and doubles. You know, ironically, it's so funny. My brother's a big Seattle Mariners fan, and he was talking about Ichiro Suzuki, and he's retired now. But when he played for the Mariners, he had the ability to hit bombs, but he purposely would try to go for smaller hits because his consistency, his batting average was higher doing that. And it was more important to get on base on a regular basis than it was to just go for a bomb all the time and strike out. So, man, I don't know if I've ever used a sports analogy like that before on this podcast, but there you go. I think that applies to sales as well. So, you know, Casey talked about 3 areas where we can try to grow our revenue. And the first is with more leads. Man, this is something I believe in so much. I mean, I'd say a lot of what I do in my life right now is helping companies with lead generation. And there is so much to it. Like, yes, it can be expensive when it comes to paid advertising and things like that to try and get more people in the store. But I believe that every company in our industry has an asset that they own that's probably being underutilized, and that's your website. That with just some simple changes on the website, you'll grow the amount of leads that you have. That comes down to answering 3 simple questions. First, which options will work for me in my space? If your website doesn't answer that question, you're not going to get nearly as many leads as you could if you were to show people which options will work specifically for them. Number 2, about how much is the project going to cost? If you can show people this on your website, about how much is it going to cost, you'll see a massive increase in the number of leads that you have. And then finally, number 3, what do I need to do to move ahead? If you can answer those 3 questions with your website, the amount of leads that you're getting will grow significantly. I mean, I've seen as much as like 50, 70% just by tightening those things up on the website. So yeah, if you want to get more revenue and not spend a bunch of money, that's where I would start. I would start with the website and growing leads. Next, Casey talked about close rate. And for me, close rate is one of these interesting things where, to me, close rate is a secondary metric. It's not one of the primary metrics that I look at, but I will use it to double check things. Like if my gut tells me something, I'll look at close rate and use that as a secondary metric to make decisions. But what I find with this is that when a company has close rates that are low, it often means that they haven't tightened up their sales process enough. So without a sales process, it can be hard to raise a close rate because pretty much like the only lever that you have to pull is just yelling and screaming at the sales team to say, hey, you got to make some more sales, like try harder. And that just either turns into higher pressure or lowering prices, which, neither of those is good for our company. But instead, if we have a sales process and we say, hey, our close rate is suffering. Hey, everybody, this week, we need to work really hard on step 2 of the sales process, which is understand our customer's problem. Okay, I want everybody in every customer interaction, take 5 additional minutes to make sure you're understanding their problem before moving on to the next step. This is how we can make a tangible difference in increasing our close rate. So yeah, to me, it's a secondary metric, but if we want to increase our close rate, it has to come down to sales process. Okay, if you don't like where your close rate is, you got to ask which part of the sales process is the team failing on. And if you don't have a documented sales process, well, then it's impossible for them to, improve on anything because none of it has been laid out. So documenting the steps in the sales process is a great way, to put the play on paper. And now we can start tightening the screws on the steps that we're weak on to increase close rate. And that makes our leads more effective. And, the flywheel continues to turn. The final thing that Casey mentioned, which is really good as well, is, increasing the average ticket. And people can get so wary about this. And I mean, I want to be sensitive to, not like nickel and dime people. Oh, do you want this too? And do you want this too? And do you want this too? But there is a time and place to show people the things that you offer. I mean, there's a time and place to do that. If the fireplace has the option of a fan and a light kit, well, offer that to the customer. They're allowed to say no. That's completely okay. If you offer an extended warranty on, your wood stoves or your gas fireplaces, offer it to the customer. If you, have glass cleaner that's available, offer it to them. And there's ways that you can do this tactfully, but on any estimate that you write up, if you think it could be in the customer's best interest for them to consider buying something along with it, offer it. And I think that this does something really powerful as well. In addition to increasing the average ticket price, it allows the customer to shop on your estimate. If the customer has the ability to look at your estimate or look at your quote, and it has a few things itemized. I don't like a full, itemized list, but a few things itemized where it's like, hey, I've got the basic fireplace vent kit and install, and then here's my add-ons and upgrades. Maybe it's like a remote control, a fan kit, I don't know, extended warranty, whatever it is. Giving them a spot where they can go, yep, we want this, we don't want this. That puts them in a position of power. And I've found that when you give them options to shop within your quote, it can make it more likely that people buy from you versus going to shop your quote against somebody else's. So, those are really good things. And I mean, man, he like hit my love language there, talking about best, better, good. I mean, with all of your products on the showroom floor, if you can organize them in a good, better, best format, it does so much. I could tell you story after story of people who have come in wanting one thing, but have walked out with something else, not because I convinced them, but because they looked at it and believed it was better, saying, that's what I want. And if you don't position your products in a good, better, best, you just act like, you're the wise sage coming down from on high on the mountain to give them the one, thing that you think is best. If you don't position things from a best, better, good perspective, you may not end up doing what's best for them or for your company. There's a lot we could talk about with that. We've talked about, good, better, best a lot on this podcast, but it's something that I really believe in. And it doesn't mean that every customer must be shown good, better, best, because there are some situations where one is clearly going to be what is right for the customer. But having visual cues in your showroom so that they on their own can look and go, oh, there is a better version of this. I could save some money by going to this one here. That really does a lot to make it easier for customers to buy from you. And, Casey mentioned that whole like McDonald's thing. Would you like fries with that? I'll never forget, in the first season of this podcast, I interviewed Heather Smith from AES, and she used to work at McDonald's. And I think it was McDonald's, maybe it was Wendy's. I think it was McDonald's though. But that whole mentality of like, would you like fries with that? If you teach your team to do this in the right way, I mean, so many customers are going to go, yeah, I want fries with that. Because the thing to remember is that when people come in to buy a fireplace, they're not spending every last dollar in their bank account to do it. They have other discretionary income. And so if you offer them, fries or like whatever the cool thing is along with it, not everyone will say yes, but there's a lot of people that will. And I guess that we'll end here. We talked about this in our episode with Chris Schroeder a little while ago, but just this idea of anytime you have the opportunity to write a bid, thinking about, what else could they need? And I would just consider like this goes along with like, would you like fries with that? Anytime that you're bidding a remodel or new construction project and you're bidding a fireplace for the living room, throw onto that bid an electric fireplace for the bedroom and an outdoor fireplace for their patio. Just throw it on, or a fire pit, whatever it is. Throw it on and just let the people know, hey, I know that you came in here looking for the living room, but just since you're in a remodel, if you were looking for a way to spice up these other rooms, I just threw this on the proposal and we don't have to go with it if you just want to stick with the living room. You will be amazed at how many people say yes to that. And again, even if it's 1 out of 10, that's totally fine. As the customer, if I'm coming into a business and the salesperson genuinely understands my problem and says, hey, Tim, I know you're looking at this for your living room, but you're in the middle of this big remodel. I bid this for your bedroom as well, because a lot of people really like to have an electric fireplace in there, and you can set it to where no heat comes out. It's just ambiance. I might seriously consider that. And so I think that with all of this, there are so many ways where we can be looking at our revenue and really growing from within. Like with all three of these things that we've talked about in this episode, this is growing from within. You can spend money on this, and I'm not against that, but you can go to work on every single one of these like today to start making a difference. And so, man, Casey, nice job with this article. I think it was terrific. And yeah, my hope is that listening to this, you guys were able to get some value out of it. Now, if you want to sign up to get the FireTime magazine every month, it's totally free. You can go to itsfiretime.com/subscribe. Throw your email address in. You can sign everybody, in your company or on your team up for it as well. So you can be reading and listening to the same things. But basically, the first Tuesday of every month, we'll send you an email with all of the articles and audio articles from the magazine. And then every Friday, we send out a featured article to take a look at. So if you want to get more content like this, that's the way to do it. And my hope as we go out today is that like listening to this, that you can go to work on one of these, whether it is fine-tuning your website to get more leads, documenting your sales process so that you can increase your close rate, or taking a look at how you've positioned your showroom and your salespeople to increase the average ticket amount. I think that there's a lot there. And for businesses that are struggling, man, this is where we start. So hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, we'll talk again very soon. Thank you for listening to the FireTime podcast. To learn more, visit the website itsfiretime.com. Music from this episode was written and recorded by In Bloom out of Portland, Oregon. We thank you for listening to the Fire Time Podcast, where it's never hot enough, slow is fast, and the way to win is to make it so stupidly easy to buy from you that there's no excuse not to. We'll see you next time.